this one. Yeah. But let me.
Yeah, I just got that.
Okay.
If it's big enough.
Jordan, do you know how to read tab?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
think that my husband has told me about it, but I can't. Something to do with.
Numbers and strings. It's really intuitive. It's pretty straight ahead.
Remember
there you
which
go.
finger, right?
Yeah, the number is the fingering. It's not the fingering. It's the fret. It's the strings are the lines are the strings, and the number is the fret to hit. So if you look at the very top one, it says open G major pentatonic. So the whole thing sounds like. That's your basic G run, open G major pentatonic. And then the very first position of the G major pentatonic when it's closed, which means like no open strings, is gonna be this. That's the very next one on the page there. Mm-hmm. So the key is really there's more. I show you. Obviously, like these 5 notes are going to be repeated everywhere on the neck, and eventually you but if you want to be an improviser and you want to play lead lines, you will be able to play them and access them like all over the neck, right? But at first, these first 2 are really, really helpful and really important, okay? So what we're like, let's try doing this open G major pentatonic. So starts on the 3. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. When I'm practicing a lot of scale, if I'm practicing scales, a lot of times I like to play the chord before and after from the one that I'm playing on. Okay, that's the first one. The second one. The second one is this one, so let's try that one together. So you're going to start, this way that it starts is the second finger is on the 3rd fret. Then it's pinky. First finger on the 2nd, pinky. First finger, pinky. First finger, 3rd finger. 2nd finger, pinky. 2nd finger, pinky. Okay. So you have these shapes, you're gonna have to work on them on your own. But this is the conceptual thing that you're not gonna like learn from the numbers on the. Are you getting like how it works?
Yes, I'm just not good at it. But,
yeah, no, it's all good.
No,
yeah, I don't expect you to be able to do this immediately.
But yeah.
Okay, like, well, one, you don't use a pick really? You like to do finger style?
I do pick, but I think I'm gonna have one in here.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. I wanted to mention pick. I wanted to talk about the pick for a second. Like, the way you hold the pick, the way you hold the guitar, the way you hit the strings, you can't really learn that on, like, the internet. You kind of need someone to tell you that you're doing it wrong or you're doing it right or explain to you like the benefits of certain approaches. So for me, I like to hold the pick where the rounded side, and all picks are different, so some are like they're symmetrical on all three sides, but I like to hold mine where the rounded side is out. I like to use a stiff pick because I think that for acoustic guitars, it'll give it more of a ring. The whole point of a plectrum is that it's an amplifier, you know, it's gonna make your guitar louder, you know, and when you're playing single notes, you need to do that, you know, you can strum, you know, I'm using my nails to get it loud, but if you want to be able to get any volume.
God, thank you. Oh, that's a
Stiff.
Oh, I don't know. That's too stiff for me. Thank you. That's a nice pick, though. Love it.
Pure clown vomit.
It's beautiful.
What is it?
Beautiful.
Clown vomit.
Clown vomit.
Okay,
Oh, it is pretty.
so the pick,
It was balancing.
you should be able to be balanced, and for you to be able to take your thumb off it, and it to just stay in place. So, some picks are really like kind of made to be played a certain like side. Like this one. Let me see this one for a second. Yeah, we could try it out that way. See, so this little dimple is kind of in the crook of that, and then my rest of my finger falls over. See how it's kind of like angled like that? Try that.
That's kind of pretty too, right? That's
Way too soft. Try it.
It's too hard for me.
I mean, basically, if the pick can bend at all, it's too thin. You know, in my opinion. And the reason is this: like, if you at some point, if you're trying to go at any speed, the bend that happens in the pick will get caught up when it's doing that. When it's doing like any like tremolo, it just gets caught up. But whatever, right now it doesn't matter. Like I played my first many years with like a more medium Fender pick, and it had flex to it, and it's fine. But I recommend a stiff pick. Anyway, I like to play with the side because the other reason I like to play on the side is for that reason.
So literally the rounded side.
The rounded side.
You know-
Well, you have a symmetrical one, so.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I would. Okay, tell me though, how would you hold that?
I put it. I take my finger, I bend it in, I put it centered on the first knuckle,
Yeah.
and then I fold my thumb over so it's really kind of there, and I just let it come out a little bit, just like that. I think that's.
And on that one. Okay, so this is kind of like your round.
Yeah,
side
yeah,
already.
exactly. It is. That's why I'm basically trying to make my pick like that pick.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why those picks are great. A lot of bluegrass picks are basically made already like that. Now, the other reason is like say I'm holding these traditional tear shape picks like this. See how much pick is sitting out? When I go to strum, it bends. So it's the same thing as having a loose pick. It will get really hard to do that. So I like to kind of choke up on it. But the point of this is these are just like fundamental basics that no one really talks about, so I'm just saying it. It might be like redundant and too simple, but whatever.
Try away, it's cool.
Sure.
The second aspect of using your pick is that you really want to be focusing on tone, okay? Tone is like the clarity of the note that you're making, you know? Like every guitar player, they talk about like Stevie Ray Vaughan, like, oh, Stevie Ray Vaughan's like tone, or you know, like John Mayer's tone. They're using that word to, when they talk about that as a guitar player, if they're talking about electric guitar players, a lot of times your tone comes from like what type of guitar pickups you use, and what type of amplifier you have, and your string gauge, and what effects you're using. And like when you hear like, that's when you can hear Santana you can just hear it is him every time, you know, like you know it is him. When you hear Eric Clapton, you know it's him. When you hear B.B. King, you know it's him. Now, half of that, depending on the player, some of it is more electronics and the crap that they add into their signal chain, and then but then the other half of it is their hands, their pick, and the way that they hold the notes. So as guitar players, we really want to focus on like, what is our tone, what's our sound that we're trying to create. And the clearest way to do that is you want to have a resoluteness to your tone. You want to be saying something. And in music, that's in general, the best music is music that is saying something. And it doesn't have to be very complex and very sophisticated and like technical. Sometimes the best tone is like B.B. King going, you know, it's like, it's a simple kind of phrase that he's laying out there, but he's saying it with so much authenticity and clarity that the listener is able to jump onto it. And that's something I struggle with my own playing. Sometimes I'm like, and it's like, play like a lot of notes or play fast or try to do like a bunch of, stuff. And it's like, sometimes you do that because you're like hiding that you don't actually have something legitimate to say. So you're just gonna like vomit out some notes, But the point is that you have to work on this aspect of the playing, the tone stuff, like in the beginning. It's not something that you like think of as an afterthought. It's something that I did when I first started playing. So one way to do it is to play the strings open without focusing on your left hand. So when you're doing a hard phrase, or you're doing any sort of phrase, like let's just do this major pentatonic, for example. We're not going to hit the notes. We're going to take our left hand, we're going to mute all the strings, and we're just going to do it okay? Let's slow it down a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay.
Are you rest stroking? Or?
I am. It's my habit to rest stroke. So Matthew's referring to a style of picking technique where when you go through the strings, your pick lands on the next string down. So let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of picking here. So it's not coming from, it's not this motion. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but it's more of your wrist is more going like this. It's not going like this. It's rotational, and the rotation is coming from here, okay? So watch this. Okay, this is how. Okay, let go. Everyone, shake everything out. Imagine that you are taking a match and you're trying to put it out. How would you do that? Right? Take your wrist, you kind of flick it, right? You're kind of like flicking it out, okay? That's the looseness and the weight that happens. So when your hand is here, see my wrist? Very nice. It's very nice. pretty much like the vibe right that you're looking for right there. Now you try to do it with a little bit more weight and like see if you can really get into the rest stroke. I want you to just do the one motion, not all of it. Okay, let's stop for a second. I want to see you just do the weight. Just the weight. That's absolutely correct. It's just developing the, like as we start doing, you'll just be developing the precision of it. But the most important thing is feeling that vibe, and then you kind of getting it into a little bit. But let me see one at a time. I want to see you just fall through the E string and land onto the A string for me. So you're pushing it. You're not pushing. You're letting the weight of your hand fall, and you're creating the rotation there. That's that make rotation. Yeah, that's more of it. Yeah. Not push. It's let the pick come up and then fall down. Yeah, that's correct. So the way you're strumming is natural, yeah. It really is like strumming. That's the thing that I think that's the thing that can get confusing, like you don't strum like this. You know, you're kind of like letting your wrists loose up a little bit. Well, let me see you fall onto from the E to the A. Just slower.
Would be.
Yes. Just do it slower. Go just like this. That's much better, Matthew. Kai, I want to see the rest stroke though. I want to see it landing on that. Yeah. I know it's kind of crazy. This is the hardest part of guitar playing. Is like, it's like, this is not something that you figure out and it's done. It's a lifelong journey. That's nice, Casey. So what you're doing right now, Casey, is your right hand is what's called you're posting your right hand. So when you do picking technique, so Molly Tuttle's one of the best guitar players of all time. She does what you're doing. She keeps her wrist there and she's kind of keeping it posted. So for me to say that's wrong would be crazy. It's not wrong, but it's something to consider. So I like to keep my wrist up, and I'm not holding it here. I'm also not putting my fingers here and doing that. You know, I'm letting my right hand free float and fall onto the string. Yeah. So imagine that you're kind of coming out a little bit, but you're starting it up here, Casey, and then it lands down onto the next string. A little bit more. Start your pick higher. So take your wrist, twist it out towards you, twist the palm of your hand towards you. Yes, and now come through. Yes. That's more of the motion. And I do recommend, choking up on it so you don't have so much pick hanging out. Just the and if you're not holding it like there, the whole flatten that thumb out. Flatten it out. Yeah, that's more of it. It's more of a you're never holding the pick, like look how light that is. gently, yeah, that's it. That's it right there. Choke it up a little more. There you go. There you go. That's it, Casey. Everyone just try to take that sense memory of the feeling of what that thing, and okay, and if you get stuck and you kind of forget what we were talking about, think to yourself, that the rotation is coming, the palm of your hand is coming up to yourself a little bit, and it's releasing, okay? Now, obviously the motion is not just that. The motion is also coming a little bit from your elbow, but when you get to those, find things doing that. Now, like I said, Molly Tuttle, she keeps her hand there. When you see Doc Watson playing, he's really kind of coming from his elbow more. And you as a person need to kind of experiment a little bit, but you need to be thinking about this stuff. Like, how am I doing it? What is working? What's not working? Why is it not working? But at the end of the day, the tone, the clarity of the tone. If you're doing something and to your ear it sounds like kind of weak, like like you say to yourself like, wow, like when I play like lead lines, no one can hear me, or any of that stuff. You're not doing it right. It's like, okay, well that's a problem. So what you're doing is wrong, and you need to diagnose what you're doing right. Molly Tuttle posts her hand there. She's super loud, super clear. She's able to go really fast. So there's no problem. So she doesn't need to change anything, But it's like, if you're having an issue, then it's like, okay, what do I need to do to fix this issue? And then you're gonna get to, like, no two people pick the same. But you're gonna get more to like how you do it. But I'm showing you these like basic sort of templates and these sort of concepts that are gonna get you to be able to diagnose your own picking, with the goal of it should be loud, it should be clear, and it should be precise, okay? And the best way to do that in my mind is have that follow through of the pick, okay? Now, the way to practice this, which is kind of how I started this, is that you don't practice it with notes. You practice it without notes. So I'll do it kind of gently again. Join me. We're just muted, so it doesn't even matter like what you do, but I'm doing 2 to a string right now. I see a lot of people kind of reverting back to how they were doing it before, which is okay. But let's really, I think the biggest concept to take away from this, there, that's looking a lot better. Yeah. The biggest concept to take away from this is that the weight of your hand, and the weight of your body has its own inertia, and like it's not force. You're not forcing your pick through the strings. You're letting it fall through the strings. And obviously like that, I'm playing really loud right now, like. But it's not hurting my wrist. It's not like hurting my hand to do it. But so it's really figuring out where in your body, how are you gonna be letting this natural just weight of your hand get into this motion? Okay? That might be a little enough for that, but let's what I do, like one of my practices, I would do that, or I would take a little more time on each string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let's just do that for like a minute here. Okay? We're gonna go 4 to a string, 4 to a string, and we're just gonna alternate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wait, sorry, I just kind of, yeah, like 1, 2, 3, 4. If the advanced concept of like what I'm talking about with the weight of your hand and all that nonsense isn't coming through, like for Casey, I know this is still new, and Jordan, and for people that haven't really focused on Leanne, haven't focused too much on any of the picking stuff at all, like if you've never really done this at all, don't worry too much about it being exact, but just start doing this. Just start doing this, and like you're gonna get better at it. And then maybe next year, the next time you see me, we can keep brushing up on the exact dynamics of it, you know? We all are gonna be brushing up on the exact dynamics of this. I literally had a picking lesson with Coleman last night, or 2 nights ago. I've been keeping my hand like this a little bit, and I still do. And he was like, tighten it up, David. And I tightened it up, and I was like, and it was like, oh, that was just that 15% louder, a little bit more precise, you know?
Just a little bit, like a little angled here? Or
Just getting a little angle, but also just keeping my fingers in as opposed to letting them out like this.
Do your fingers get dirty like this?
Of course, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm just picking up
Maybe
string.
not that dirty.
I mean,
That's pretty dirty.
Because I'm brushing.
Yeah, but no, that is what happens. You should see Coleman's fingernails are all like, there's like string like in his nails. It's crazy. But okay, anyway, so the next step up to that practice is chromatic practice. So I would go. I'm just playing open, and then the first 3 frets. So, and then I would do, it's easier when you're doing intervals of 2 or 4. Because if you're doing intervals of 2 or 4, then it's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. When you switch strings, you're going down. So it's easier when you're switching strings in going down to go down, obviously. Like if you're doing it in 3, then it's gonna get crossed. So Yep. And then but you can also practice it where you do just downs. You can go. That's like playing it as a triplet. Triplet, 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 triplet.
Are you still going up like 1, 2, 3? Or are you going all downs?
I'm doing down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. But then I would practice it down, up, 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 down. Okay? So can we take a step back for our beginners here? Because I know this, I see the glaze happening a little bit, but this is really not that confusing. All we're talking about is playing your pick, going muted, and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2,